Welcome to the Squad Show. I'm Sam Ekstrom. Vikings are 3-2, and today I'll give you the history of running backs throwing touchdowns that you didn't know you needed.
Hey, this is Arif with Wide Left on Football. I didn't know I needed that. I'm still in London for some reason.
What's happening? Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. I want a Netflix spin-off to quarterback, but this time it's Will Reichert, Jordan Addison going through London, trying to find the person responsible for planting that cable wire right there. What's up with that?
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
What is up? Happy Monday and welcome in. It's the Vikings Squad Show, streaming live on Locked On Vikings. You can find the audio after the fact on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts. Luke Braun en route back from London to the United States. He'll rejoin, of course, when we do the show again on Thursday. Full lineup, Carol Evans show on Wednesdays. We do this Monday and Thursdays and after the game like we did yesterday following a 21-17 Minnesota Vikings win. Today's show is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. Arif Hasan is still in London. He joins us now. He was at the game yesterday, a 21-17 Vikings win to keep the season afloat, dare I say. Without that final drive, 10 plays, 80 yards. You are talking 2-3, 2-game losing streak, battered, injured team that can't avoid shooting itself in the foot, gauntlet of a schedule coming up after the bye. It felt like a season-sustaining drive, Arif, for Carson Wentz hitting Jordan Addison with 25 seconds to go.
Yeah, they ruled. It's hard to kind of overstate how, I don't know, it's like you kind of like lose your confidence in the Vikings being able to close these games after what happened last week, a disaster in Dublin, right? And so now they're in London, their true home where they've been undefeated. And they're in this one drive situation. And, they haven't been putting up point after point against the Browns or anything like that. They've been moving the ball a little bit. They've been a little bit more efficient, it seems like anyway, in the second half than in the first half. But just being able to kind of find Justin. And the thing is, aside from that throw to Addison on that drive, I don't know that he threw another super accurate ball, but it got to the receiver and only the receiver. And sometimes that receiver was someone like Justin Jefferson, who just kind of needs it in his zip code anyway, and he reels it in, right? It was really good because it's the kind of play calling that you didn't think the Vikings had access to, given the state of their offensive line, given what Carson Wentz had been asked to do kind of all game and in the previous game, and just kind of what the Browns had been kind of setting up for them. So to be able to kind of enter that 2-minute mode, grab the comeback, and march down the field with excellent clock management, forcing the Browns to give up their timeouts and stuff like that, keeping in bounds when you want to keep in bounds. Not everybody did that all the time. I think Addison or Naylor went out of bounds early on too, but being able to do that so that there were only 25 or so seconds on the clock at the end there, and then having Reichert kick it right at the 4-yard line for the return to force them to spend time on the return. I don't know. That was really well executed at a bunch of different levels, from the offensive line, the receivers, the play calling, the clock management, the situational masters he always talks about, making sure everyone's kind of aware of what they need to do. Really, really good stuff at the end of the game.
Do you think he's going to come out when he retires with a situational master for dummies book? Because that has been such burned in our brain.
I feel like in the 80s, this would be a great VHS multiple tape
the
series.
hitting Fred McGriff, the hitting coach.
The original
exactly.
masterclass. Yeah, masterclass.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell. How to execute the 4-minute drill. Yesterday, Luke Inman, did KOC dust off the short passing game page of the playbook that's been missing? Because I think we asked for this at halftime of week 1. we said we need a little more quick stuff. We got to find a way to get JJ McCarthy in a rhythm. We didn't really see it in week 2. With Carson Wentz, we didn't really need to see it in week 3. Week 4, a little bit more, and then I thought a really nuanced, effective, creative, short passing game in week 5, which is great that they unlocked it when they needed to, but also, like, Dylan Gabriel's on the other side. That's a rookie quarterback. The Browns found ways to make things easy for him. I guess I'm wondering why it took this long to kind of find what they found, because it seemed to be much more cohesive offensively, as we talked about on the post-game squad show yesterday.
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. We talked about it last Monday and Thursday leading up to this game. Is it like, he's just a little stubborn, KOC that is, in his ways from the Sean McVay tree, lives and thrives with that intermediate deep stuff. But knowing they came into the game, and we talked about this, with an historically bad quarterback sack rate over 13%. And I know we've talked about it again. It's not all on the offensive line. A lot of that's on the quarterback too. But knowing that, and then magnifying things even more, you got a first-time center. You got a UDFA rookie making his first start at left guard right next to him. Justin Schools back on the field, which has been pretty ugly to say the least. And oh yeah, by the way, too, in the fourth quarter, I guess we're going to take out our stud left tackle because he's on a pitch count too. Didn't know that. So knowing all that, I think him and the offensive line, which I'm sure we'll get into, deserves a ton of credit for holding up against truly probably the best front four in football. Got to be top 3 in a variety of different categories. I'm already thinking to, Philly coming out of the bye. How do you not leave Blake Randall in at center until Ryan Kelly comes back in? If he does come back.
If he does. Right.
Yeah. Joe Hubert, he showed Sam, this is your guy all through the summer training camp. He showed enough promise to, kind of keep him in the wings as a developmental guy, hopefully something to build off as the years goes on. So the blueprint, though, how to slow down Myles Garrett yesterday. I don't know if we talked about that enough yesterday in the postcast show, and not let him blow this game to smithereens, which he obviously has the talent and ability to do. That's on KOC. Wentz, that coach quarterback connection we talk a lot about on this show, getting the ball out quick, letting his playmakers go make plays. Almost 6 yards per play, I want to say. Yesterday, let me pull it up, 350 total yards.
It's pretty good. It was good.
Yeah, with a backup quarterback and a backup offensive line across the board against an awesome, dominant, elite defensive front. I thought KOC was in his bag yesterday for sure. And again, the difference between sitting here today at 2-3, going into the bye, and the conversations are, oh my God, the injuries are relentless, and the quarterback controversy, versus now we're sitting here at 3-2, and now the conversations and moods like, now we get to get more healthy and come back fresh. Huge swing thanks to that game-winning drive going 9 for 9, 71 yards.
Well, fortunately, we had the intrepid Arif Hasan there yesterday, representing the squad show in London. He was in the media room, and he got to ask Kevin O'Connell about that game plan, about getting Carson Wentz out of the pocket, some more quick passing. And Kevin O'Connell, chapter and verse in his response.
Yeah. We wanted to make sure we had a game plan to try to win the game today.
Arif Hasan got Belichicked yesterday by KOC. He didn't want to give you his secrets. He didn't want to cut open a vein.
18 words?
That I've never seen that happen with KOC. But I don't think I've seen that often with Zimmer. Zimmer would obviously do that sometimes, but if you ask like a specific question from Zimmer, he'll either tell you like the premise of your question is wrong and then he'll shut you down, or he'll be like, oh yeah, no, that's why I did this, right? Like, he'll take it on faith that he's smarter than you, and so you won't get whatever he's trying to say, but he'll at least answer it. And then KOC does go into like details, like, oh, hey, we want to do this, we're doing this for this reason, or whatever. So I was like really surprised, and I was kind of like, oh, huh. And then the rest of the presser, he was answering everybody's question, and I don't think many other people, if any other people, because I was like busy like tweeting about Carson Wentz drama, because of course, right? But I don't think a ton of other people were asking like questions about game plan or anything like that, aside from maybe some quick game stuff. So I don't know that he was shutting all of those down, but he historically hasn't. And I don't know, he answered a bunch of people's questions with a bunch of time, a lot of sentences, a lot of words, the way he usually does, with a smile on his face. and a little bit of the depth and detail. He even answered the Jordan Addison question with like more depth and detail than I would have expected. So I was pretty surprised.
It was curious. Do you have any data, Arif, to back up what the eye test told us, that there was more emphasis on the quick game? I got, based on next gen, I've got Wentz on 21 of 34 pass attempts were under 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. I've got him on next gen, third fastest time to throw for his 3 games combined. Third fastest time to throw behind Rodgers and Mahomes. I got to check what his week 5 was isolated. That probably would be more intuitive. But do you have anything that kind of backs that up, that this looked different? It looked better. It looked kind of more thoughtful in its approach.
Right. So I think there's a bunch of different ways that you can kind of get at quick game, right? One of those things is, what percentage of passes have you thrown under 2.5 seconds? And I have access to that data, and I used it last week. And I'll talk about that in a second. You can look at like distance of throw, but if you call an explosive play, and then after like a quick progression, or you see a safety rotate and take away your explosive, you check it down, that's not quick game, even if you got rid of the ball kind of quickly just because you knew what was going to happen, right? So it is kind of difficult sometimes to figure out what quick game is. But what's really cool about next-gen stats and the relationship you can get from True Media, which I know you have access to, Sam, is you can look at it by drop back depth. And because quarterbacks are in the modern NFL are meant to coordinate when they release the ball with their drop back. And so the shorter your drop back, the faster it is. You're supposed to get the ball out. And that tells you what the play is intended to do. It's not perfect, right? But it is probably the closest approximation we can get that's not just time to throw and stuff like that. Because you can have a quick game that is taking a long time to throw because it's not there, so the quarterback is holding onto the ball. Or you can have a quick game, but then there's a busted coverage, so you throw it deep. And so it's not going to look like quick game, right? So here I've got the percentage of dropbacks under 3 yards in weeks 1 through 5. So in weeks 1 and 2, 20% of dropbacks. And we know that McCarthy tends to float a little bit in his dropbacks, so these are deeper than they should be. But that's kind of something that helps us there. And then over 6 yards is actually the same percentage for McCarthy in weeks 1 and 2, 26% and 22%. So 1 and 4, 1 and 5 is about where you are for more than 6 yards and under 3 yards inclusive. So 6 plus 3 minus. But for weeks 3, 4, and 5, you had over 50% for weeks 4 and 5 for under 3 yards. 3 and 4 for under 3 yards. And under 9% for over 6 yards. So he's not dropping back deep on more than 1 in 10, 1 in 11, 1 in 12 dropbacks in week 4 or in week 3. Now, actually, in week 5, you do have more deeper dropbacks than you do in weeks 3 or 4, but way less than you do in weeks 1 and 2. So what I think happened here, and I think a lot of this has to do with the rollouts, right? What I think happened here is that Kevin O'Connell comes into this game with the understanding that if they only relied on quick game, they would have 13, 14, 15, 16 play drives. And they knew they couldn't do that against the Browns defense. He said that in the presser, right? That you have to have some explosives in there. So he was like, well, how can I, create some explosives without making the whole offense those explosives? Because remember, Kirk Cousins did all these rollouts all the time. And then the Packers shut it down, and that was the book on Kirk Cousins. You crash on the quarterback on wide zone. Now you don't have a rollout game anymore. So you can't do it all the time, but you can do it sometimes. And the Vikings did it more in this game than they did in any other game going all the way back to 2022. So they didn't do it as much as 7 times, which they did in this game, in 24 or in 23, and they only did it 3 times in 2022. So it was the most rollout-heavy game plan we've seen in a long time, and it included a high percentage of quick game and a moderate percentage of kind of this deep drop back game. So a good mix, but still getting the ball out super quickly on unpressured throws. Carson Wentz got rid of the ball in 2.12 seconds, which is just lightning fast. And
Next Gen has him as the fastest time to throw this week in front of Geno Smith and Tua and Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah. So his overall time to throw obviously was also very fast because on unpressured time to throw it was insanely quick, right?
Yeah.
So on all dropbacks, he was like 2.48 or something like that. It was under 2.5 seconds was his average dropback time, which is really, really fast.
KOC couldn't have just told you all that. He couldn't have just.
It's
I
right
don't understand it.
What's up? Yeah.
I think that should have been your whole question. What you just told us, that should have been your build up,
Yeah.
to prove your point, and then say,
tee it up.
Is that true?
Dude,
Paint the picture.
that's my
set the
favorite.
stage.
Can you
This is
confirm?
my favorite. Now that I'm no longer like regularly in the beat, that's one of my favorite beat writer like habits, which I do all the time. This is not like me disparaging anyone. I do this all the time. Is that you preface the question with so much information to prove you know what you're talking about,
Right,
and then you go,
right.
"Is that right?" It's my favorite.
Like, pat me on the back now, right?
Yeah,
like,
come on.
Like, sure,
Yeah.
I know what I'm talking about, right?
Give me my lolly.
The conversation will continue after the break with where we're at now with Carson Wentz. We got to do the weekly check-in after 3 games of Wentz, assuming that shoulder is in its socket, and if he's healthy week 7. What do the Vikings do? There was a Diana Rossini report that might stir the pot up a little bit. Also,
no.
That was like Thursday. Also, Luke Braun
missed
sent us a text that was kind of interesting as well. That we'll get into all of that on the other side of this break in the Squad Show. Excited to talk about our great partners at Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that make the neighborhood the neighborhood. For us, it's Marty's Deli. Head down Stinson Boulevard, take a right on Lowry. Marty's Deli, right there, serving unbelievable lunch sandwiches if you're willing to wait in a little line because so many people want Marty's. These places become an extension of home. Might be the sports bar. Might be the spot with the best wings on game day. Also, big fan of Shake Shack. Shake Shack over at Rosedale. Get an avocado bacon burger and a milkshake. So delicious. Well, those run on Square. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. All right, quarterback conversation rolls on the Squad Show. Myself, Sam Ekstrom, Luke Inman, Arif Hasan. Luke Braun will be back in the States this week. JJ McCarthy. So this is the Rossini report from midweek. And I think we got to take it easy on Rossini here because she is not saying that the Vikings are hiding anything. In fact, she's saying she's not.
She's referencing that other people think that, and she's saying, hold on. Yeah.
Yes, correct. So she is not saying that. She's acknowledging that it's a rumor that has come up. She does say that the medical staff projected a 4 to 6 week recovery. Now that is interesting because he was not an IR case. And if it was a 4 to 6 week recovery time, one would have expected an IR stint because why not? Why wouldn't you open up that roster spot? It just wouldn't make any sense not to. That to me feels a little interesting. Also, the fact that he hasn't done practice even on a limited basis, and she does say he might not be ready for week 7. That to me is a little bit newsy. Go ahead.
That is super interesting. I wouldn't have anticipated that. Obviously, you've got a little bit of info that you want to share that complicates that a little bit. But one sentence kind of did pop out to me in that Rossini report, which is that they don't want to play him until they have a full week of practice with him. So he could, theoretically, be healthy enough to play by Sunday of week 7. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean he was healthy enough to practice for the week before that. So that could be kind of what she's getting at, which like we're talking about real precise timelines for like a month-long injury, right? So, but that could be what she could be getting at, I guess. I don't know. That is surprising to me because that is not the sense that I'm getting and certainly not the sense that we've kind of received.
Right. So then the other piece of news, Luke Braun texted us from the game. Where did it go?
Oh,
my uncle sat with McCarthy's dad. This
is like a Vikings fan forum. This is like a Reddit post. We're so good here.
I love this thread.
So take this with a grain of salt. Someone claiming to be McCarthy's dad, saying that they thought he might play in London.
Someone claiming to be Luke Braun, who had access to his telephone, claims that someone claiming to be Luke Braun's uncle then was sitting next to somebody who claims to be McCarthy's dad. And he claimed that they were sitting next to each other. And that person claiming to be McCarthy's dad then says,
it is a weird, like, why is that guy going to make up such an elaborate, weird, specific thing, though?
Yeah, I don't know why that guy stole Luke's phone to do that, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Luke
said
Braun's
they were
not-
really close. He was really close, but the team is being very cautious.
And
that they traveled with the understanding that maybe he would.
Well, he's had the red jersey on. He's been like the emergency quarterback or QB4. Like he's been through the walkthroughs and like on the field with the quarterbacks taking, the cliche mental reps, I guess. So he's been out there. But to what degree?
That's actually what McCarthy really needed, some more mental reps.
Maybe one more year.
McCarthy's son is like
Just
21 days old, and his dad has been in Europe not practicing or playing for like half of those. Kind of feel bad for the guy a little bit on a human level. So let's say that McCarthy gets back week 7, and again, he can't really practice in the bye week. He can take reps on like a practice field and throw the ball around, but can't do full speed reps until week 7. Let's say that he's limited, comes back limited week 7, and Wentz's shoulder is okay. It feels like the odds might be shifting a bit to where Wentz could play, and it could be health related. It might not be performance related.
Man, the Rossini report is so crucial here because no one would believe that, right?
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Like this guy, and I know that there was a little bit of a hubbub about this because Jim Souhan, which I mean, come on, it's Souhan, published a column where he's not the one who claims this, by the way. This is just like the Rossini report, where Souhan was like, hey, a lot of people have conspiracy theories that McCarthy was benched. The headline, which I don't believe Souhan writes, right? That's just standard practice at a newspaper is that the writer doesn't write the headline. The headline is like something along the lines of, are the Vikings faking the McCarthy injury? Is he hiding it or whatever? One of those like Betteridge's Law question mark headlines or whatever. Yeah. And in the piece, Souhan is like, there's a conspiracy theory among Vikings fans, which I don't believe to be true, that says X, Y, and Z, but it definitely looks interesting. That kind of thing, right? And it's a columnist, right? Which I know, like, nowadays, it's people don't want to be told the difference between like a columnist and a writer and a beat writer and stuff like that because it all gets published in the newspaper, and so it all feels like it's kind of one melange, and I sympathize with that. But my understanding is that headline created a little bit of hubbub in the building, and so they were pretty upset about that. Again, Souhan doesn't write the headlines. Certainly, Kramer and Gessling don't write the headlines. And so, if Carson Wentz starts against Philadelphia, like the conspiracy theory stuff is just going to go through the roof, right? It's going to be uncontainable. Whether or not
wins? What if he wins?
If he wins, you just got to be like, well, McCarthy, you got to say it, right? You got to be like, well, we're 3-1 with Wentz. He's executing our game plan perfectly.
But do they continue to say, well, he's still dealing with it?
No, you got to say it. You got to be like, McCarthy's healthy, but like Wentz, we got to let him ride this one out.
It's over. Right? Yeah. Hot hand. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, the question does need to be asked that week. Why was he not on IR? And did he have a setback? Did you misjudge his ability to come back? Right.
That's a really good question. Yeah.
These are all questions that need to be asked week 7.
Because then you could assign Desmond Ridder to your roster for free. You'd never worry about it. Which, by the way, he was waived, so that should tell us something, right?
Correct. Max Brosmer got a snap yesterday. Almost had one quarterback left on the roster.
Do you think they're paying for Ritter's flight back, or is he gonna figure that out?
He's just hanging out at 4 seasons.
Take the bus.
Look, Inman, where you at?
No, you flung out this comment. I don't know. I'm playing playing the ignorant card or naive. Like, does Rossini not have a great track record? I guess I'm out of the loop. I feel like as far as she was credibility, right? Because obviously she's a big time reporter, but I just don't know what it comes to the Vikings connection specifically, how tapped in she would be versus what Arif mentioned, a Jim Souhan or some other the local beat writers that we have.
Yeah, the Rodgers saga is what soured people
Sure.
on Rossini, and I would have to go back and check receipts to see if she's been wrong about
Yep.
other stuff. But she leaned into the Rodgers connection, I think, a little stronger than most.
Okay.
But a lot of local people did too. Maybe
Yeah.
not with as strong a verbiage, but she said the Vikings are strongly considering all their options and that Rodgers has been in talks with them. And I think that she really stood by that and doubled down a couple times. And of course, he didn't end up coming here. But she wasn't the only one on that island. A lot of people said the same thing, that the Vikings were talking to Rodgers. That was not been denied by KOC. So I think Rossini's getting a little bit of a bad rap on this, and time will tell whether it's injury related, whether and I will say this: ever since the Hawkinson ear infection, I think that there can be real
I just
injuries.
don't believe it.
So jaded.
There can be real injuries that occur or real maladies that are occurring, and there can be a subtext or an ulterior motive, right?
He's like
you can
traumatized by it.
truth
By the
to
way, the
all
rest
rumors.
of us were the way the rest of us were traumatized by the tweak that Daniil Hunter suffered. You got on the other end of it, you've got the ear infection. You're like, no injury news is real. All players are simultaneously injured and uninjured, and it's just when it happens to happen is when it's convenient for the universe to let us discover this fact. Like Sam is in just this like metaphysical nowhere land when it comes to injuries.
There was another prominent player that had an eye or an ear infection recently who was in a contract negotiation. I gotta find who it was, but not in Minnesota.
That parallels is so. Oh, not Minnesota. Okay.
I don't think it was a Minnesota player.
Because I was like, that parallel would be way too strong. If I was the agent and I was trying to get them to like milk or nurse an injury, I would pick not an ear infection just because of the Hawkinson stuff.
Yeah. You played that card. That's exhausted now.
We're talking about the hypothetical of if JJ's still not 100% or doesn't get the full week of practice. What if Carson Wentz isn't ready to go either? Now, granted, seems like a long shot because we have the bye in an extra 2 weeks, but he's been battered and bruised, right? He's been battered and bruised, and I almost feel a little bit jaded the way KOC came out. I don't know if it was Monday or Tuesday after the game, but all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, by the way, we're putting JJ McCarthy. He'll be out the next couple weeks with this ankle injury. It's like, wait, what? Oh, didn't know that. So I guess in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, what if something like that were to happen with Carson Wentz, knowing how beaten up he's been and knowing how sore he's probably feeling today on this long, last night on this long airplane ride back home, without the normal treatment that these guys normally get at TCO and everything else, even to the small stuff, like, have the same bed, right, that you sleep on. So I just wonder, though, if he's going to be hobbled too, if we're talking about Wentz, JJ, or maybe even Max Brosmer getting some first team reps Wednesday, Thursday at practice.
This is a repeat of the 2022 rule.
Fortunately, it's the left shoulder, right? Left shoulder.
Yeah.
So in theory, but it does.
The ribs are hurting though too. I mean, there's multiple things going on.
He tries so hard to showcase his mobility. I call it fruitless mobility, right? Like when he moves or when he decides to run.
No, we talk about Wentz.
We're talking about Wentz. He is
I asked
punished.
him about that.
Punished, if only to come up 2 yards short of the first down, right? Like fruitless punishment. Yeah. He's not going to get the first down. He's spinning, or he's doing spin moves. He's a tornado out there, lowering the shoulder, taking punishment. Not a first down.
No, like I was like, hey man, are you like, you're so used to using your athleticism, you're old now, or is it like difficult to adjust to that? And he's like, are you calling me old? And I was like, kinda, yeah. That was did you like that?
I'm
was
Arif
a fun
Hasan.
moment.
Don't you know my relationship with you?
I was not weird to him at all about the bit at all. Like, two people sat next to me. Was like, I gotta see this. And I was like, I'm gonna ask him like normal questions. I asked him 2 normal questions, and then I asked him this one. I was like, hey, you're old now. Do you know that? and he was a really good sport about it, right? Like he was like, I might be old, like he was like, so. But yeah, I think that is like retraining your brain out of the instincts it had for what had worked in the past versus what won't work in the future is so difficult to do. And I think that's a lot of what takes quarterbacks out in kind of the 35 range, right? Because we know quarterbacks now have the ability to like play until they're 40 if they're really high level players. But one of the elements here is that you have to really be constantly aware of what you can and can't do and constantly readjust your instincts for that fact. And that's really, really difficult. And I think Wentz, is not quite exactly there. He maybe doesn't have the reps of somebody like a Russell Wilson who has had to kind of move up and down with that, right? But like the spin move right into a shoulder injury with the other Carson is whew.
I got 3 big receiver questions to ask after the break, plus nerdy stats, and we will get to it. An all-time Vikings history of running backs throwing touchdowns. That's coming up.
No McKinnon.
Sadly. He tried. We're brought to you by Mazda today. Mazda is moving the game forward for those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward is... Why don't we just segue right into it? Cam Akers throwing a football to Josh Oliver and the Vikings scoring 6 points on the play. That's a touchdown. That got the Vikings on the board. That got the offense moving forward. Cam Akers, we love you. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. 3 big receiver questions on the horizon, but because I brought it up, would you like the Vikings history of running backs throwing touchdowns going back to play-by-play data starting in 1978?
So I think
so
I know
up my
the
alley.
last one, just from listening to PA on KFan today. So I don't want to spoil anything. If that is in fact the case, was it over a decade ago?
Yes. So it was 17 years ago today.
Was
Today.
it Adrian?
Happy birthday to Chester Taylor's touchdown pass.
Chester!
Visante Shenko against the Saints.
Yeah.
Saints
Wow.
game in a win. Monday Night Football. 2 years prior, Mwelde Moore.
Yeah,
I
that
should
makes
have,
sense.
should have had you guys guess that one. Mwelde Moore to, you gonna guess the tight end? 2006.
Well, it's not Jimmy K.
Wiggins?
Wiggins.
Ah, there we go.
Jermaine
Yeah,
Wiggins
that's good.
against Seattle, I think, in a win. Then we're going back to 1992. Keith Henderson. Keith Henderson
Great guy.
tossed one to Terry Allen.
Scary Terry.
Wait, are they
Love
The original Scary Terry.
The original Scary Terry. Yeah, actually, his McLaurin's mom named him after.
Right. His dad was in the stadium next to Braun's dad, and he texted that.
And he texted, yeah. In 1992, he was texting.
1991. Darren Nelson.
Boy, you're
November
every year.
1991. Darren Nelson to AC. Anthony
To AC.
Carter.
AC.
I was
AC.
like, is this going to be a Steve Jordan one? That was great. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Anthony Carter, dude.
Love that.
AC, not done yet. He would also catch one from, got to get back to my notes, DJ Dozier, December 1989.
The good Dozier.
Dozier
The good
to
Dozier.
AC.
It all balances out.
And then we've got the king of running back touchdown passes. Put yourself back in September 1984.
Mhm.
It's week 2. Alfred Anderson tosses a touchdown to the quarterback, Tommy Kramer,
Dude, Tommy Kramer.
only to follow up the next week with another touchdown pass.
Oh, they put it
went
on
back
tape
to
and
the
everything?
Same bag of tricks.
Whoa.
And
Well, yeah, but
Alfred
back
Anderson.
then you had to ship the tape
You're right.
by postal service.
Right.
And
It
then,
hadn't.
you
It,
know.
it had
By
not gotten.
horse and then by buggy.
Yeah,
The
right,
Atlanta
yeah.
Falcons didn't get the memo. As Alfred Anderson stunned them with another touchdown to Dwight Collins.
Who's the
2
OC?
TDs.
Who's drawing
2
that
weeks.
up in the wee hours?
The
Yeah,
OC.
you got to think the Falcons were like, no chance are they going to do that again.
no way.
No way.
Or they
well,
did it all week and they still screwed it up, which would have been even
Um,
worse for them.
the OC was Jerry Burns. And you remember
Yeah.
what the night? Who was the
The
1984
true
head
inventor
coach?
of the West Coast offense. Yeah, Jerry Bird.
No, this was Les Steckel. This was the Steckel team. Just playing fast and loose.
Loosey-goosey.
Running back
Let's go have
tosses
fun
2
out
weeks in
there.
a
It's just
row.
a game,
Yeah.
boys. Let's just go have
Yeah,
fun.
it's the thing that Les Steckel is famous for saying, for sure.
100%.
All right, 3 big pass catcher questions. Jordan Addison. What's your alarm level of this incident occurring? Not knowing really any of the details except he missed a walkthrough. Like he disappeared.
How do
late.
you do that?
I would love like one more detail. Just
Yeah,
one little bit of
right.
information.
Yeah, just
Any
what?
morsel, any crumb of
Do
information.
you did he miss his stop at the tube and then like he had no idea how to navigate, like the London tube map is like a little bit different, so it's confusing. And so, which actually that wouldn't make any sense because the Vikings match is like an hour and a half away from the city center. The
90
tube doesn't even go
minute,
out there. But like because like the only details I can surmise in my head are not necessarily like exculpatory or flattering, right? They're all like, man, you got time to do that at another time.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, like
Who
walkthroughs.
was he with?
are not-
Was he going
not-
solo too? Was there?
It
A
sounds like he was the only
culprit
one who missed, right? So
with him? You have like a buddy or a family member
He-
with him, or just solo? Like that's
So
even.
He's an aloof individual. He is not. He's not exactly a connector, or it feels very connected in my observation. He's just kind of he goes to the beat of his own drum.
just,
Walkthroughs
like,
are not at 6
you're
a.m.
like-
though.
you're like on thin ice. You just got off your suspension, right?
Yeah.
For your second vehicle violation, right? Like you can't just be like, I could skip this walk. What in the world is going through
Or
your
I'm gonna
head?
go like one more block down, it'll be fine, and then all of a sudden, fast forward 5 hours later, and it's
You're
like,
right. Just one more drink, and then
Yeah.
suddenly you're doing like the end of the world. But like, I don't really get it because like I don't know. Do you remember that running back for the Patriots that like rushed for like 200 yards in one game, Gray or something like Jonas Gray?
Jonas Gray.
Yeah, and then he like missed a team meeting because of a snowstorm. By the way, like it genuinely like pretty understandable reason in my opinion, and he just gets cut. He rushes for 200 yards like the week prior, misses a team meeting during a snowstorm, gets cut. Right? Like that is maybe an extreme example, but like we know NFL teams take this super seriously. And this isn't game 1 of his rookie year. He's been around for a bit. He knows how seriously NFL teams take this. That is shocking to me. So unless there's we don't know the story, right? So unless there's like some other, like he was intending to make it, but he didn't schedule enough time for himself to make it. There maybe was some like free time that everyone was allowed to go out, but they had to make it back by a certain amount of time, and he just didn't. Like that's a little more understandable, right? Than him like going out of his way to, just skip just deciding to skip it.
There was one, and take this with a grain of salt. There was one random person on Twitter that I don't know if it circulated in the random person before it was reported.
Yeah.
Who tweeted the Vikings, and this was like Sunday morning, Saturday night. The Vikings don't know where Jordan Addison is. Take it with a grain of salt, but no reason to tweet that unless you've got some kind of tip, right? And we don't operate in Twitter rumors, especially the state Twitter's in, but it's interesting.
Yeah, we only when a show host is missing, we fabricate text between him and family members of players. Yeah,
and the
but
random people
not
they're
Twitter
sitting next
rumors.
to in the stands across the country. Yeah.
So with Jordan Addison out for the first quarter, you think, maybe it's Adam Thielen's time to make a 9.5-yard catch at some point. Can they draw up something for Adam Thielen? He is
12 snaps
down.
12 snaps.
So what's the over-under now? Thielen has 4 catches through 5 games. What's the over-under on his catch count this year? Well, he's clearly wide receiver 4.
I would say. See,
so
he has
what?
4
12 games
catches
left
total. So I would say. I'm going to go a little high here. Maybe it's not actually high. 10.5.
Yeah, I was going to say 14.5.
Okay.
So you've got him on about a less than a catch a
1.2.
game, Arif.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I got him
Luke's
at
got
like
him on a catch a
1.2.
game.
He's wide receiver 4. Josh Oliver's getting more targets.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson's really good at football, though.
Quick, can I just circle back to Addison real quick? It has nothing to do with actually Jordan Addison, but do you guys remember the draft when he came out? 4 wideouts in a row, and I'm just sitting there watching Red Zone yesterday, and Jackson Smith and Jigba's balling out. Quentin Johnston's having this little revival year. Zay Flowers has always been super solid, and the last pick, right, of the 4, Mr. Irrelevant J.A., he's just so good too, man. He's just so good. He's just so good. I know he's missed 3 games, end of quarter now, so you can't look at the stats, but the impact, like we talk about the eye test sometimes, right? He just passes that eye test. He's just so valuable to this offense because when teams want to double, and this was the whole concept, bringing him in the first round, when teams want to double, even triple JJ on the other side, you got to have a dude that can just take advantage and make you pay for one-on-one coverage, and he's been that dude. He obviously, the off the field stuff, to circle back, yes, Sam, it is alarming. It's definitely hit the panic button, but when he's on the field, right, and he's locked in, he's tapped in, he was well worth that pick, that first round pick.
Yeah, I do also want to say this about Thielen. I was right. I just wanted to say that. It's really important for me to say that it was reasonable to discuss the 6th round pick as being an overpay for Adam Thielen. I feel so vindicated about this. It sucks. I want him to be way more involved. He rocks. But like,
you won that. You won that so far through 5 weeks. You definitely won that argument. Yeah, it's been rough, dude. How much of it has to do with just Jalen Nailor actually looks good? Remember, I mean, so much of it was about. It's hard to get Jalen Nailor kind of off the field as wide receiver 3 right now, and to Arif's point too. They're using Josh Oliver a lot in these 2 tight end sets as well, which they should. They're paying him a lot of money for being a tight end too. But when they made the move to bring in Adam Thielen back here, a lot of it had to do with the unknown of, is Jalen Nailor gonna miss a lot of time because of that hand injury? And are we rolling with like Lucky Jackson as the number 2? That hasn't been the case. Not only has he been healthy, he's been good. He's been very effective.
Do you think the hand injury fixed his drop problem? Do you think it like reset his hands?
He's got prosthetic going on.
Nailor robbed of a 50-yard reception on a free play yesterday, and also remember when McCarthy missed him in the Falcons game for like a 70-yard touchdown?
Yep.
Nailor's had some bad beats to start the year. Also, Justin Jefferson, we talked about his slow start a lot. He's up to 3rd in yards in the NFL. I think he's all right.
Yeah, 3rd in total yards, obviously 30 yards per game, and then also I believe he's 3rd or 4th in yards per route run too. So he's very efficient.
He's just efficient. Like you kind of run out of words after a while, but like the total package, right? The complete package. Like he really defines that phrase, I feel like, between the on the field dominance, but now you read Alec Lewis's piece this morning about just the leadership, right? Even his quote about Jordan Addison as well, like putting the ownership on him. The leadership qualities he's grown and developed, I feel like, over the last few years. It's just such a treat to watch. I mean, we were so lucky. Doug Peterson and the Eagles passed on him for another receiver in Jalen Reagor, because without that, I don't know. I'm the person I am today, Sam. I don't know.
Let's get into nerdy stats.
Analytics fans rejoice. It's time to get educated.
Whoa, you're blowing my mind right now.
With the nerdy stat of the day.
I proclaimed yesterday on the postgame show that Dylan Gabriel was not good. Dylan Gabriel had one good throw all day. And I got some support for that. Next gen. Dylan Gabriel, worst completion percentage over expected in the NFL yesterday at negative 6.4.
I was shocked after admittedly, it turned out to be a touchdown drive, but that first drive that he scored, I was shocked at how many people were like, Dylan Gabriel looks good. And I was like, what you didn't do anything.
What? Anytime he actually had to throw the ball past the sticks, it wasn't.
Oh, it was
sailed
bad.
It. Sailed
it was bad.
What are they seeing in practice that's like, yep, Flacco ain't it.
And it's like, it's exactly what, like, you bring on any like Browns like blogger or whatever and ask them like what they thought of Dylan Gabriel before this game, and that's exactly the scouting report. Timing, anticipation, not much of an arm, not much deep accuracy, and that's exactly what we saw in the game. He got rid of the ball super quickly, didn't help. Got pressured on 40% of snaps anyway, but that. I don't know. There's a lot of people that were talking about how good he was, and I was like, do we watch the same guy? Thank you, Sam.
That was a weird response. I know the box score looks fine, but watch the game, watch the tape. That was
the takes were like, we found it. We found our guy, our new franchise quarterback. We did it.
Yeah, there's people right now that are being like, this year's draft class for the Browns is going to be like the 2017 Saints draft class, which so far a lot of these rookies are outstanding.
Yeah, Carson Schlesinger. I know he got burned on the Cam Akers, Josh Oliver play in pass coverage.
Yeah, but
as a run stopper,
but Harold Fannin and Judkins, obviously.
Too.
Yeah, Mason Graham, obviously, but a lot of that is they're only saying that now because they think they also hit on Gabriel.
100%. Yeah. Well, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks.
Yeah. My nerdy stat. So the Vikings and the Browns had the exact same running back rushing yards before contact. Quinshon Judkins demolished the Vikings after contact. 4.31 yards, I believe, after contact per carry, according to, I think, Next Gen. I think PFF might have it differently. And the thing is, the Vikings didn't miss that many tackles. There are 6 total missed tackles. I believe one of them at least is in the passing game. It's really you can make a tackle but be dragged 4 yards downfield, which I think is a lot of what happened in this game. It was a lot of yards after contact for him, not a ton of yards before contact. So the Vikings were getting there. It wasn't a run fit problem like it had been in the past couple of games. It was just a getting in there problem, and they didn't get in there.
Yeah, that was frustrating. That was another frustrating performance in the run defense. Maybe get into that in our final segment. Inman, nerdy stat.
Myles Garrett, 35 pass rushes. Myles Garrett versus, again, Darisaw over there most of the game. 41 snaps, I want to say. Almost 2/3, but 35 pass rushes, 2 pressures, 5.7%. His second lowest pressure rate in a game in 4 years since 2021. Absolutely unbelievable.
Against backups and backups.
Backups swinging over from the right.
Imagine
him, right? Game planning versus Darisaw all week. And then you're kind of licking your chops like, oh, he's out. Okay. And then, but every other snap you look up, it's like a new dude. It's like, wait.
Can you imagine Justin School being told hey, so at some point around snap 40, right. you're going to have to switch sides. And he's like, what? Huh? Yeah. Don't worry about it. You've done it before.
Here's a little extension of that stat too. Vikings slowed him down, chipping Garrett on 42.9% of his rushes, 15 to 35. Third highest chip rate he's faced since at least 2018. So Justin Skule over there, but obviously TJ Hawkinson, Josh Oliver helping chip out quite a bit. So pretty cool.
Arif, you're saying goodbye?
I got a dip. Yep. Peace out, guys.
Well, you can be stateside when we talk to you next.
Hopefully. I don't know. My travel, is crazy.
Well,
text
Luke's Braun's buddy's dad's buddy.
Girlfriend's son. Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, got it.
All right. Let us know what you find out about Addison. Do some reporting. All right. Bye. When we return, gambling, week 5 results, party fouls, and some talk about this run defense with Luke Inman when we return on the Squad Show. Those week 5 wagers took place at FanDuel, as they always do. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of Locked On. New customers right now can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5. If it hits, unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Vikings covered yesterday. How good's FanDuel? I think it was 3.5, won by 4. Perfect line, and the Vikings got the cover. They've had a couple sneaky covers late in games this year. But it's just more fun when you have a little something on the game. Maybe it's a futures wager where you got a division winner parlay or something like that. That's what I have. Keeps you interested all the way into January. So whether you're a casual fan or deep diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? FanDuel.com or the FanDuel app today. Get started with a $5 bet. Get $300. How about a little party foul in our final segment?
It's time to tell you who spilled their proverbial drink on the sofa. Get ready for this week's party foul.
Luke, why don't we pay off your tease? The kicking wire might have gotten in the way. Now, I'm not.
It did. It did it not? Have we not confirmed that? Or is it still speculation?
I don't know if the Vikings have said that it did or did not. I don't think it's certain. The video is interesting, though. The spiral of the ball doesn't really alter, so it's hard to tell. What do you think? What's your take on it?
I didn't think about it once during the kick. Sometimes you see a couple knuckle kicks, right? Knuckleballs, and all of a sudden they just kind of have that big, almost 45-degree turn one way or the other. And then when somebody pointed it out, it felt like it was, legitimate, like it hit this cable. So it just seems, funny and ironic, this franchise plagued and cursed by kickers, right? Decade after decade. To watch our Sunday, fortune turn into jeopardy because the latest fiasco is we're hitting TV cable wires now. Like, didn't have that on my bingo card. Also, too, if that was the case, if he did, in fact, hit that wire, what do you do? It kind of reminds me of, you remember the story about the dude who hit the baseball through the Metrodome roof, and the umps were like, I don't think there's a rule for that. What do we do? And they just ended up calling it a ground rule double. What do you do? Is there a rule in place for that? Is it a free kick? Redo it. And then also too, my next question is, was that cable wire there before the NFL showed up, or once the NFL got there, got all the cameras in place? Was that put in place? Because I just want to know who to blame, I guess, for all this when it's all said.
Yeah, we need a scapegoat. Yeah. That would have been if they lose that game 17-14. Wow.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. Wow. So my only defense here for the cable wire operator, it is not a conclusive camera angle in the sense that we can't really see the depth. It's like when you hit a 100-yard golf shot, you might say, oh, that looks like it's right at the pin. It's right at the pin. Then you get up there and it's like, oh, it was actually 10 yards deep. It was actually a lot way past it because you can't see the depth. So it could just be that the way that the replay showed the ball intersecting with the wire, it looked like it touched it. But it's hard for me to see a redirect of the football. That's all I'm trying to see both sides of this argument.
I will say, to your point, to play devil's advocate for my sake, is that there wasn't a very dramatic or quick reaction by Will Reichert or a lot of the players either. It wasn't like anybody was pointing up to the sky or looking at the ref with their hands up, anything like that too. So, that's why initially I just thought it was a knuckleball until we saw that different camera angle. So yeah, would love verification one way or the other. Maybe we can get a quote from Will Reichert or anybody that was out on the field for that play.
Yeah. Reichert's been hitting a draw from right to left on those long kicks. This one sliced. Maybe that's a little bit of a tell. Also, his extra point kind of had a little slice to it. So we're getting real in the weeds here with the kicking game. But party foul that this could have possibly happened.
Yeah, no doubt. One more. I know you got a juicy one as well waiting. One more. Jonathan Vilma, and was it Kenny Albert? Was Kenny?
Correct.
The play-by-play? How are we going the entire game not calling out the fact that Jordan Addison was not on the field for that first quarter? And then also Christian Darrisaw not on the field for the entire fourth quarter as well. Neither of them pointing that out during the broadcast was just kind of baffling. That more confused than anything. I think, and then we're scrolling on Twitter during the commercial breaks and getting more updates from the beat reporters that are there. Poor awareness. Let's just put it that way. Poor awareness by Kenny and Vilma on their part.
Right, correct. And it sounds like the Vikings would have done nicely to communicate those things, at least to major media, even if they needed to embargo the information. So sometimes they'll slide some information. They'll say, don't address this until it's happening. Like, don't say early on that Christian Darrisaw is going to be out. We don't want the Browns to find that out. But at least have that knowledge once he is out to be able to say, yeah, Christian Darrisaw is out of the game and this is planned. Good job by the local reporters.
Even you've seen the movie Major League, where it's like the play-by-play guy, he hits Mike off, and then it's like the note guy giving them the nerdy stat. It's like somebody's got to point that out for them if they don't notice that during the game. Jordan Addison for, how many plays did he miss? 18, 20, 22, something like that. That should be called out for sure.
Yeah, correct. And I'll be honest, I didn't notice it either. I kind of overlooked it. Yeah. Yeah, didn't occur to me until I realized when I started seeing the tweets from the local reporters. Good job getting that scoop when they did. So the Cardinals yesterday. This is not a Vikings related party foul. That was my survivor pick. Probably the worst way to blow a lead that I've seen in a professional football game. Did you watch this on Red Zone unfold?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So 21
kooky, man. Kooky.
6.
October, we're in Halloween month. That was kooky, dude. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. You've got DeMercado dropping the ball at the 1 centimeter line as he goes across. 70-yard touchdown, nullified. So should have been 28-6. Titans score, miss the 2, come back down, throw a pick.
No, they didn't go for 2. They just missed the extra point. Joey Slide.
Oh, they missed the extra point. Okay,
yeah,
didn't even
worse.
Miss that. So they missed. So now you're good. Now you're the Cardinals. You're all right. We're up by 9. Titans come back down, throw a pick. Interceptor fumbles the football. It gets booted into the end zone, recovered by Lockett, touchdown.
Cue circus music. 7 different people touched that. 7
the Holy
different
Roller.
People touched that. Yeah, the Holy Roller.
Dave Casper,
Fantastic.
John Madden. 21-19. You know what happens after that. Titans get the ball back. Cam Ward executes. Great drive by Cam Ward. He's had a tough start to his career. Great drive by Cam Ward. Titans win 22-21. Eliminated. A lot of comebacks yesterday in the league, by the way. Not just the Vikings.
Yeah.
Some big ones. Some big boys. And then Buffalo almost pulled one off in the nightcap, but New England coming out on top. So during the bye week, last thing, Luke. Kevin O'Connell yesterday kind of opening up a vein, not to Arif, but to others, saying, we don't know our identity. We got to spend the bye figuring it out. And he's pointing to the injuries, right? He said it's been a week-to-week game plan. We got to figure out our identity. So what does it have to be? What does the identity of this team have to be coming out in week 7? What do you want it to be?
I think, what we talked about all summer long was that no matter what happens with the offense and the quarterback situation, that we trust KOC, right? No matter what the decision-making process looks like, we trust KOC. He's taken a lot of heat from people like us, after the Steeler game, especially for not adjusting more to the quick game. The fact that you got a backup quarterback in there that, by the way, just showed up about 3.5 weeks prior. Maybe that's even being generous. Maybe 2.5, 3 weeks prior. Probably doesn't know the entire playbook. Why are we having him drop back 7 steps? That's the offense stuff. Bottom line, maybe he redeemed himself yesterday. We trust KOC in that. So much of our conversation, though, Sam, during the summer was that while all that's going on, there's going to be a lot of ebbs and flows. The offense is probably going to start slow the first couple of weeks, knowing that Jordan Addison was out, suspended the first 3 games. Christian Darrisaw maybe still working his way back. The defense needed to be the catalyst, right? Needed to be the foundation for the team. It depends on what stat you kind of look at, right? I mean, stats can be deceiving for sure, but, through 5 weeks, yards per play allowed, 7th best defense in the league. Yesterday, they allowed 17 points. Granted, we can get into the weeds and talk about they went against a rookie quarterback making his first start, but more times than not, Sam, you should win games when your defense only allows 17 points. So things have just gotten too leaky, right? I really hammered on the run defense last Thursday and even Monday on the squad show. I don't know if it's truly Blake Cashman makes that much of a difference. I don't know if, maybe we're over the conversation about trading Harrison Phillips a week before the season starts. Maybe we're past that, but we shouldn't be past the fact that I have not heard Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave's names very much at all, really, outside of week 1 when they had 13 pressures combined versus the Bears. They've been silent for how much they're getting paid. Feels like a underachievement on their part as well. But the run defense has been too leaky. Last year through 5 weeks, they only allowed 1 team to rush for over 100 yards. That was San Francisco with Jordan Mason. This year, it's been 4 or 5. So I don't know if a lot has to do with, think back to last year, the Texans game, the San Fran game, even a couple other games in there that they were playing with a lead. And maybe that's why, their run defense kind of got padded a little bit stat wise, but I know that would help. It wouldn't hurt, by the way, to start playing with a couple leads here and there. But it's been leaky, Sam, to say the least. And I don't think you can count on games like, the Bengals game, for example. One individual player, having 3 turnovers and scoring 2 touchdowns for you. That's not really you can't replicate that week after week. So it's been leaky on defense. I know the injuries have a lot to do with it. Harrison Smith still making an impact when he's on the field. He's not on the field a ton. They're still working on that ramp-up process. Made a huge 3rd down tackle, by the way, on Dylan Gabriel in the open field to force a punt. That was so good. It's like, that's why you need Harrison Smith in there, right? But Van Ginkel, a little worried about him, especially after our conversation on the Instant Reaction show yesterday. The neck concussion weeks ago. Maybe that ends up lingering a little bit longer than I think we're talking about, but it's been leaky, to say the least. And again, there's certain stats that would say it's still a good defense, but it's not been the foundation of this deep playoff run type of defense that I think we were expecting at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Do you remember the 4th quarter against Chicago, how punishing the Vikings were, how physical that defense got? They beat the crap out of Caleb Williams. The offense moved people at will. And I think that's what they envisioned. And it's hard to see that vision come to fruition without the players that you brought in. 4/5 of your line at times out, and the defensive line missing at least one big piece. But the defensive tackles have to be more prominent. We can't go a whole game without even. I went all of yesterday, and I don't think I once acknowledged, Jonathan Allen. Like not even a pressure, not even a tackle.
Jonathan Hargrave played like a 1/3 of the snaps yesterday. And again, we know they're deep. They're loaded. We love Jalen Redmond. We got to get him on the field too. There's a lot of dudes in there. And week by week, the game plan is going to look different. But they're paying those 2 dudes a lot of money. And we just have not seen the product kind of, again, replicate for how much money they've been getting paid. And also, too, you got a backup linebacker who Eric Wilson is solid as a backup, and Ivan Pace has been kind of a regression this year. And again, as good as the front can be, if you don't have linebackers behind them to go clean up the mess, to go make the plays, it doesn't really help either. And then there's also the conversation of, if you're getting the ball ran down your throat, why are we rolling with 3 safety looks every single play? Where's the beef, right? Where you got to get bigger body dudes in there on 1st and 2nd down to set up those 3rd and long situations. So there's a lot of different layers to it, Sam. Like KOC in the offense, though, I do trust Flores to figure it out, especially giving him 2 weeks now to prepare. But unless they get healthy first and foremost, I think it continues to be leaky and is not the prominent foundational nucleus catalyst kind of defense that we hoped it would be at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Takeaway regression is happening, except for one game. They've got 2 takeaways in 4 of the 5 games combined. And one of those was a lateral play at the end of the Bears game. So basically it's one takeaway in 4 games. With taking out the Bengals performance, obviously. So, and obviously injury regression, significant injury regression from last year. We feared this. This is what we feared. So can the pendulum swing back the other way after the bye a little bit? Can you find some of that physicality you had in the Bears game against teams that are going to be more physical? Again, the schedule is Eagles, Chargers, and then is it Lions, Ravens, or Ravens, Lions in some order?
Lions, Ravens.
Ravens probably have Lamar back. They'll be desperate. Lions game is going to be an absolute slugfest. You got to score points against them. At any rate, the Vikings have a bye week. We'll have plenty of coverage here on the Viking Squad show, I should say. This group back on Thursday, Carol Evans show on Wednesday. Ron Johnson's show can be found on Tuesdays on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Thanks so much for watching, listening, commenting, and subscribing, and we will talk to you next time. Thanks, Luke.